The wait is over. Speed test. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. We got the cosmic orange here, and we got the darker color S25 Ultra over here, the titanium black. Let's go ahead and boot these two up and see which one can get there first in 3, 2, go. Now they both have power buttons on the same side, but the iPhone's is bigger. You could see Samsung on the right, Apple on the left. We've been waiting for this one for quite some time. The two titans in the industry. This is Canelo, Crawford. This is, Honda, Toyota, Audi, BMW, Stone Cold, The Rock. Any comparison you want to make, two of the best. They're going head to head right now in the smartphone speed test here. You'll see that the Samsung says, sit down, Halloween man over there. We're going to go ahead and take the W with the Galaxy S25 Ultra on the first one. But it's just a boot up test. But it says, sit down, pumpkin spice. We're on our way to the next one. Let's go into the biometrics. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the biometrics now. We are going to look at Face ID, which does require an unlock like this. With the Samsung, I could just look at the phone, and as long as it could see me, it'll go right in. I'm a little bit blocked by the camera, but you can see as it finds my face, goes right in. So the Samsung is a little bit faster there, but it's also faster in general to unlock because with the iPhone, you have to bring it up. And if you have Raise to Wake on, you'll be able to quickly unlock. But with this one, all you got to do is tap that in-display fingerprint sensor. With the screen off, you can also tap that in-display fingerprint sensor. So from a speed perspective of getting in, the Samsung is the faster phone. So it boots up faster and you're able to get into the phone quicker as well. So one thing I've been noticing about the entire Samsung lineup this year is it's just been so fast in pretty much every area. So let's go ahead and kind of discuss how iOS 26 is running here for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Apple made a good decision by putting 12 gigabytes of RAM into this phone. Finally, an iPhone with 12 GB of RAM. We'll see how that plays into the RAM management. I did add Destiny Rising in here to give us an extra graphically demanding games to see if it can kind of choke up the phone at all. But we are clocked in at 4.25 gigahertz. And this is on the latest version of iOS 26, the software update that they make you do right out of the box. So you are going to have to do a software update out of the box with this one. But generally scrolling through iOS here, the speed is pretty good on the 17 Pro Max. It's basically what you would expect. Now, I will say that scrolling over here, it's kind of going for more of a smooth effect, a more bouncing on the different pages here. But generally, it tends to sometimes have like these little weird, I wouldn't say glitches, but a couple of times I feel like some things sometimes act a little funny. I think iOS 26 still needs a few more polishing updates before it's just about perfect, but Apple's still going for that smooth, visually pleasing look. And now looking at the S25 Ultra, when it comes to the performance, this is One UI 8 here, so everything is pretty smooth, and Samsung has continuously been improving the performance, animations, and things of that sort. Kind of going through this phone, to me, it feels like it flies along faster. So I think if you're looking for raw power, I feel like the Samsung phone just still feels just a little bit snappier in the day-to-day. And you can go on good lock and really tweak the animations even more than you could by turning off, reduce motion and stuff like that on the iPhone. But overall, generally day-to-day, I think most consumers who are just using these phones for daily phones aren't going to notice a substantial difference. But I will say the Samsung's animations to me are snappier. They look a little bit more raw to me, whereas Apple's trying to do like these visual flying effects, kind of like right here when it comes in, to try to make the phone appear like it's a little bit more polished, if you will. Like right here, this little bouncing effect, the liquid glass, when we kind of go right here. Oh, hold on, let me pull down this. You can see right there how it goes through the icon. They're just trying to make it look a little bit more visually nicer than some other phones out there. We'll see if Samsung takes after that. I don't know if they will, but definitely I'm going to have to go Samsung for the day-to-day speed. Just kind of going through the phone just feels a little bit like it flies through everything. Let's go in and get into the app test now. All right, guys, so you can see on both phones, everything is closed out. So no applications previously opened. Let's go into calendar. And that was faster for the Galaxy coming out. Animations, pretty similar. Let's go into clock. Faster again for the Galaxy. We'll go over here to timers, stopwatch, alarms, and world clock. Now with the iPhone, you can kind of use this like a magnifying and go through this glass right here. With this one, you can't really do that. You're just going to be tapping on different UI elements. Let's go into the calculator. You could see animation a little faster there on the Samsung. I have them on default right now though. Keep that in mind. We'll go into Play Store, App Store, faster on the Samsung, and we'll go into applications. Well, it looked like the Samsung, but then I seen some of the applications appear first there for the iPhone. Let's go over here and just kind of like go through these different tabs, and you'll see no substantial differences. The iPhone and Samsung performing pretty close here, with Samsung's animation still looking faster. We'll go into ChatGPT. Launches there first on the Samsung. Let's type a quick prompt. iPhone versus Samsung. We'll do iPhone. Hold on. iPhone versus Samsung. And we'll click that at the same time. And you can see the Samsung actually was able to pull that up first, although they are kind of giving us different answers. So that could mean something. But AI in general, like the onboard AI, these are just servers from ChatGPT, but onboard AI is, I think, still a bit better on the Samsung. And that was Apple on that one. Let's go into Copilot. That was Apple on that one. We'll go into YouTube. Apple gets that one. And Samsung taking a second on YouTube. That's a little bit weird. Let's run YouTube back. I think Samsung got messed up there. We're going to use, but we're going to leave it in the video. We'll go over here to this area and we'll go into gaming. And once we're in, the Samsung was popping those up faster now. I think it had a little network glitch right there or whatever. It just took a second. It just got locked up for a second, but that happens from time to time. So it can happen on either phone. Let's go into Instagram. Was that faster on the iPhone? That was pretty close. Let's take a look at some of my recent posts. So they had these iPhone Airs inside the Apple Store, kind of like this. So it's kind of neat to see the different colors back to back. Got the cosmic orange here. Overall, once in application, doesn't seem to be a substantial difference here overall. Let me go ahead and pinch the zoom and we'll swipe up out of there. Let's go into X on both. And that was faster on the Galaxy. We'll go to profile. Kind of the same there. Swiping out. We'll go into Groupon. Faster on the Galaxy. Although we did have, let's go over here to oil change and maintenance. Have you had your oil change lately? Looks like the iPhone was quicker. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. So here's where it's going to start getting a little bit more serious. We'll get into the games. Apple loads Dead Trigger 2 first. So there was no real issues. I hit that a little bit late, but Apple did win this one in Dead Trigger 2. Also, I was testing it prior to this video to see if the phone was getting warm. And honestly, it wasn't getting too warm at all with the new iPhone. So that vapor chamber thing is really working. It's not just marketing. It definitely will help the phone stay cool under use. But I really want to see what happens in the benchmarks after this. Let's go into RTS. I didn't do a full speed test prior to the test though. So everything you're seeing right here is raw. Like it's my first time putting them head to head. Let's go into RTS here. Race the Sun. And casual games. Neither is breaking a sweat. I'm still, like, I'm not trying to be biased towards Samsung here, but I am personally feeling the smaller punch hole. I personally don't like punch holes or the camera. I like all screens, so I can't wait till they're all screens. But for now, I don't like the large dynamic island. I do like the usage of it, but I don't like how it interrupts my content on display. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Apple does with the Fold and if they get that under display camera in the future. Samsung wins here in Free Fire. So Samsung takes another W. We'll head up out of here and we'll go into Call of Duty. And you'll see Call of Duty is launching first there on the Samsung, but sometimes even if I just tested them before, they're going to load up some stuff. So we'll see if we get any resource loading and stuff like that. But nope, Samsung in there first. So there is something to note though. You could say, well, Samsung's been out a lot longer, so they've had more time to get their phone optimized. That is true, but this is only episode 1. You know we're going to do like 3 or 4 or 5 episodes of this speed test comparison between these two as Apple gets more polished, as updates come out. And we will switch over to covering the S26 Ultra when it becomes available. So this one will be going head to head not only with this one, but also the S26 Ultra. So you can see right here, Apple in the lead when it comes to PUBG and takes the win. So Apple back on top with this app. They are compiling resources here, so I wonder if that slowed us down. I am going to rerun PUBG just because of this compilation of resources, and we'll see if that changes anything for us. So yeah, so now it's loading the original game. So let me close that out. We'll close both out and we'll rerun PUBG. And this is not to try to say, you know, hold on. I didn't tap it correctly on the iPhone. Let's go into PUBG. How long I've been doing this? Still not tapping it correctly on one side. I think this will be a different result. But Apple's still in the win. But I still think that resource compilation made it a lot ahead for the iPhone. So iPhone still wins. So we've confirmed the iPhone can launch PUBG first, but the Samsung loses, but not by as much as initially. Let's go to Destiny Rising now and see which one can do this first. And I actually really like this game, by the way. It wasn't launched too long ago. It's pretty fresh still. But it looks like they might be better optimized than iPhone, loading quite a bit quicker there. And this one is pretty darn. This is the one that heats up the phones the most. I did find, when I did test this game though on both, I did find the Samsung got warmer under this game. So Destiny Rising it was ready to go here for the iPhone first. And so we're already in there on the left. So yeah, iPhone, pretty strong GPU there, showcasing now that we got in this. This is a very demanding game. So I think pushing it, the iPhone might actually have the more powerful internals, especially for gaming. Let's see what happens here. And once Samsung's in, you're just fine. Let's go into Geekbench 6. That's faster on the right. We'll go into 3D Mark, faster on the left. Speed test, faster on the left. And InShot, faster on the Samsung. I will say overall, my final thoughts about the initial app test here, Samsung seems snappier most apps, but a few launched here first that kind of shocked me, you know, having the more powerful Destiny Rising, PUBG. So when you start pushing it, I think the iPhone might either have better optimized games, but it might be a more powerful overall performance when really pushing it. So we'll see if that holds true in our upcoming benchmark. So stay tuned. We'll start with the RAM management though first. So I got to tell you, picking this up after opening all those apps, this phone feels cool to the touch. That's amazing. Let's go over here and see how the 12 gigs of RAM does. I do wonder if it will shut down apps because I was opening up Destiny Rising. You can see PUBG open. We do have Call of Duty open. RTS is open. Subway Surfers is ready. So it did shut down Dead Trigger 2. Groupon is ready. Instagram, YouTube, buttery smooth here. Gemini, ChatGPT, App Store, Calculator, Clock. Yeah, this one did excellent. So that 12 gigabytes of RAM was a very good inclusion here for the iPhone. Now, let's go ahead and check out the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I can tell you already just picking this phone up, it feels warmer to the touch. So I think Samsung is actually not doing as good as the iPhone now when it comes to heat management. So they really stepped it up with heat thermals for iPhones. That's really important for power users. And Samsung has pretty much everything opened right now. A little bit of blinking there on Race the Sun. Blinking there on that one. What is with that blink? Let's go into Groupon. But everything's seeming to be open. Instagram reloads its feed. YouTube reloads its feed. I do think the iPhone did better here on this RAM management. The Samsung doing fine, holding everything. But I think the iPhones had, like, some of these apps were blinking, so I think Apple did a bit better there. However, Apple doesn't actually let you take advantage like Samsung with split screens and multitasking and DeX and stuff like that. So Samsung actually still takes better advantage of its RAM and power. But Apple, in terms of speed, definitely had a more speedy looking or a more reliable looking RAM management, at least on that initial test right there. and the Samsung does feel a bit warmer. And the final results are in for Geekbench 6, and the iPhone has won. Let's go over here to the single core, scoring better than the iPhone 16 Pro Max, only by 355 points though, or around there, so not too much. And this scores better than the iPhone 16 Pro Max by about 1,000 points. So Apple has taken the lead over Samsung in both single core and multi-core performance. If we go over to multi-core, you'll see the Samsung score is significantly better than the S24 Ultra, but it is behind the iPhone in both CPU and GPU benchmarks, which could explain why Destiny was doing a bit better. Let's go over here into 3D Mark, and we're going to go ahead and run a 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme test, and we'll see how they do graphically. I do expect the iPhone to really maybe take the lead here. Let's go into Start. But the Samsung has been scoring better than so many devices on the market, so this is going to be interesting to see which one takes it. But I'm also going to test the heat on both of these immediately after this benchmark, because they're going to be probably close to as warm they're going to get unless you're playing a game even longer. I'll be back when they're done. So the iPhone is back on top. Isn't that what you expected? Let's go ahead and take a look at the heat real quick here to see what we're getting. Maximum of around 103. That's actually not that bad. Let's go ahead and check the Samsung. It did have a quick second to cool down, but it should be, yep, the Samsung officially gets warmer than the iPhone. I knew I wasn't losing my mind, because yesterday I was playing a game and I was like, the Samsung feels way warmer. And yeah, it is. It actually does get warmer. So Samsung has officially probably less nice thermals than the iPhone. You can see over here, this has a 5276 with a 31.6 average frame rate. Scores better than 94% of devices on the market. That's up over the 86% on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now this does a 30 FPS, and this scores better than 91% of devices on the market. I wonder what the other 3% are, but yep, officially, according to both benchmarks, the iPhone is officially back on top of the market when it comes to when you're really pushing the phone. Not only is it better in the benchmarks, it's also better when you do push it in games. It doesn't get as hot as the Samsung Galaxy, but the Galaxy doesn't get super hot either. Both of these do really good in that department. All right, guys, so let's do a quick internet speed test here. We will be on the same servers, same Wi-Fi network, so we'll just see if the 17 Pro Max can do the same or better than the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So we're pulling in around 430, 440, 450-ish on here, 460 almost. So really good download. My uploads aren't the fastest, but doing pretty good here. Also, we do get ourselves better modems than ever on the new iPhone, so that's good for you. Samsung has been doing really good as well, so it's not really a big difference. You can see Samsung pulling in a little bit less here. Doesn't look like it's going to outdo the iPhone on this one. So Apple's really been stepping it up, I think, in network performance of their phones. It's been something that I always felt was better on the Samsungs. Now they're pretty much neck and neck, not a substantial difference anymore. So you can't use that as a reason to, get the Samsung over the iPhone. Last thing I want to do before we head up out of here is take a couple pictures, just kind of see how they do in the actual camera launch speed. So let's go ahead and launch both cameras. Now I tend to have a little bit of a hard time launching the cameras because these are two big phones, but let's go ahead and do that in 3, 2, go. And Apple with the launch first. Samsung can zoom substantially farther though. It also has a 10 times optical. Apple has an 8. And you can see right there, Apple does launch it first. Some people say that the Samsung shutter lag is a real phenomenon. I don't know. I don't seem to have too many issues. I don't really miss too many moments on either. In terms of zooming, Apple's very smooth on this zoom range. They can go up to 40 times, although past the 8X, it starts to get a little bit grainy, especially if you're indoors, low lighting, like we are here, except for the studio lights. But Samsung, really crisp images, can go all the way up to 100 times zoom. But honestly, once you go past the optical ranges on either, they're not the best in the world. But Samsung definitely a little bit slower to launch the camera. Apple's a bit quicker on the camera as well. So based on my first speed test, my impressions are that the iPhone does a better job here finally when it comes to the heat management. The thermals seem to be a bit better on here. The phone actually benchmarks a little bit higher, but it's not by a lot. It's only a little bit higher. Samsung's phone's been out since January, and it's only being beat slightly by this 17 Pro Max in the performance area. So the S26 Ultra is going to blow past this phone easily. This one is almost exactly the same performance. It's only a hair behind, and its thermals are a little bit worse, but it's very small. Generally, though, it really still comes down to the software you want to use and, you know, all the feature set, because both of them are still both playing at the top of the game. You will pay substantially more, though, for the iPhone, because usually you can get these Samsungs on deals way more often than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But yeah, I'm going to have to give this one to the 17 Pro Max when we start really thinking about it. You know, One UI still, though, feels snappier in terms of animations and things of that, like the way it moves along. But for the true deep performance, I do think the iPhone has taken back the crown. They kind of trade. They usually do that. We'll see what happens next on our next speed test. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts on which one won down below. I'll catch you on the next episode. Be sure to be well. Nick here, and peace.